Today we're going to talk about 5.16 aquaculture. So our goal is by the end of this lesson you should be able to describe the benefits and drawbacks of aquaculture. I didn't put why we're going to do this by describing the benefits and drawbacks of aquaculture. So aquaculture is where you raise fish or any other aquatic species in cages or enclosures underwater with the intent, obviously, to consume them. So we've got fish farming as an example. You could produce macroalgae or the production of mussels. So these are little faux mussel reefs that kind of look like pallets, and you pull them up and you've got all the mussels you could ever want. Definitely some benefits here. It requires only a small amount of water and space and fuel because you can put them fairly close together. Not a lot of fuel because you're not having to continually move your animals and irrigate and take care of the space. It reduces the risk of fishery collapse. If you remember, that's having a 90% population decline in our fisheries. And it doesn't take up any land space. So when you compare this to raising beef, pork, or chicken, and the issues we're about to have with not having enough space for agriculture, this is great. It doesn't take up any land at all. It's also very efficient. So aquaculture, if we look at our feed conversion ratios, this is what you put into it and what you get out of it. It's very efficient. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck here versus raising beef, which gives you very poor conversion of the amount of feed you put in and the amount of meat you get out, so very low. So if we're talking about what is most efficient and sustainable for the future, using aquaculture definitely is a pro over our beef, chicken, and pork. But there's always drawbacks. So the great part is you can put a lot of fish in a small amount of area, but it leads to a high amount of waste. So we get a lot of E. coli into the local waters. And you also get what's called eutrophication. Eutrophication is from the high nitrate levels in the feces of the fish, which leads to overabundance of nutrients, which leads to a high amount of algae, which eventually suffocates all the other plants in your area and causes toxic chemicals to be released. That's an issue. Then we have that the high density of the fish increases their disease risk. And this is not unique to aquaculture. It's common in any confined animal operation, but it's not an issue for aquaculture. The problem with this is these diseases can be transmitted to the wild populations because there's only a small net separating our farm-raised fish from our local fish. Again, since there's only that net, it may cause there to be non-native species or GMOs released into the local ecosystem from escaped captive fish. This also can be a result of hurricanes because areas where we grow these is often prone to hurricanes. Last but not least, in these environments, the fish have to be fed antibiotics, which can contaminate the water via their waste. Here is a picture of an aquaculture system. So our goal was to describe the benefits and drawbacks of aquaculture. Aquaculture is great because there's little water, space, and fuel, and it uses no land. These are all things and real concerns that we have going forward when it comes to feeding our future populations. But aquaculture can lead to eutrophication, escaped GMO and non-native species, and also a higher risk of disease.